All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling something that sounds like it's straight out of a cosmic myth. We're talking about a really intense, profound philosophical trial for the soul. It's called the Path of the Overman. So, right off the bat, this quote just throws us into the deep end, doesn't it? We're not talking about, just looking in the mirror and thinking about your day. No, this is a journey into a realm where the very idea of you dissolves into this liquid mirror. It's described as both beautiful and incredibly dangerous. This whole thing is framed as a fight for your very existence. Okay, so here's our roadmap for this journey. We'll start with the trial of the mirror, then we'll face the Crimson Judge's verdict. After that, it's into the Forge of the Spirit. Then we'll explore the uncanny realm, and finally, we'll try to wrap our heads around what an infinite ascent really means. Okay, first up, the trial of the mirror. And let me tell you, this stage is all about one thing: the complete and total demolition of the self you thought you knew, and the reality that came with it. So, what is this liquid mirror anyway? Well, try not to think of it as a literal place. It's more a state of being, an uncanny architecture where everything you think is familiar gets twisted and becomes strange. And its only job? To make you confront a version of yourself that's, well, more beautiful, but also way more dangerous. The whole point is to just dissolve any stable idea of who you are. And this really gets to the heart of that first step: total destruction. The Great Wall of Glass, which is basically a metaphor for the reality you take for granted, it shatters. The liturgy of error, all the old rules and beliefs you followed, torn down. And those old gods you might have looked up to, turns out they're not saviors, they're jailers who kept your spirit locked in a cage, the cage of a fixed identity. It's like a full-on Promethean rebellion against a prison you didn't even know you were in. So, with the old world completely in ruins, a new figure steps out of the shadows, and this figure is here to conduct an audit of your very soul. This is the Crimson Judge. And what's so wild about this is how simple the judgment is. This isn't about good versus evil or right versus wrong. Nope, there is only one thing being measured: vital intensity. And if that sounds a bit Nietzschean, well, that's because it is. It's basically a pure measure of your life force, your will to power, your drive to grow and overcome yourself. And this right here, this is the central conflict. You have the old way, which weighs your soul against the feather of a dead morality, clinging to the past, which could get you stamped guilty of mediocrity. But then there's the new way. It's all about having a sovereign mind that fully embraces its own will to power, the drive to literally become your own self-created God. It's a total flip. You go from being the one who's judged to becoming the judge. And this is the judge's whole philosophy in a nutshell. And yeah, it's straight out of Nietzsche. The judge is an active nihilist. What does that mean? It means they don't just sit back and go, oh well, old values are meaningless. No way. They actively push what's falling. They tear it all down to make space for something new to grow. The sovereign individual rising from the ashes. So, what about the ones who actually pass this insane audit? Well, they get to enter the Forge of the Spirit. And this is where the real transformation, the fundamental change, actually begins. This metamorphosis happens in 4 clear stages. First, you survive the audit by showing that vital intensity. Second, your spirit gets tempered, like steel in a fire, inside that liquid mirror. Third, you receive something called the Mark of the Abyss. Think of it like a spiritual branding. And finally, it's all made official when your new name is coded into the registry of the Overman. That Mark of the Abyss is absolutely key. It's described as a chaos rune burned right onto your spirit, and its purpose is to literally shift your spiritual gravity upward. It's called the vertical ascent. This mark is a symbol that you are completely rejecting the stagnant, comfortable old world for a life of constant upward striving. And this is the end result of it all. The transformation is profound. It takes a soul from being a passive nothingness, just defined by everything around it, and turns it into the everything of a sovereign, self-created deity. This is how a new aristocracy of the spirit is born, literally forged in fire. Okay, so now we get to see the world these new beings live in. Welcome to the uncanny realm, a place where the basic laws of existence have been torn up and completely rewritten. This is a huge mental shift. Think about it. Reality isn't just a static background anymore. It's a living, breathing player in your game. It's actively challenging you, it's adapting to what you do, and it's constantly trying to out-evolve you. Your whole existence becomes a duel with the infinite. Even time gets a complete reboot. The past? Gone. Erased. It has zero hold over you anymore. Instead, history becomes a tool. It's a prophecy of what your will commands the future to become. You're not a product of what happened before. You are the one and only author of your destiny. Now, this next idea is both totally liberating and kind of terrifying. There's something called the rune of non-correspondence, and what it does is it breaks the fixed link between a thing and its name. So a chair isn't just a chair anymore. It holds infinite other possibilities. Everything becomes fluid potential, and the only thing that defines it is the will of the person looking at it. So, we come to the final stage. Or actually, it's more like the beginning of the final philosophy. Because here's the thing about this journey. There is no destination. There is no I've arrived. It's an infinite ascent. The journey is the whole point. This is so important to get. Becoming an overman isn't the finish line. There's no peace, no final reward. The entire goal is to live in a state of perpetual becoming, a constant, even exhilarating cycle of shattering yourself just so you can create the next version of you. And so, these are the new rules of the game. The only real law? Your own will. The only judge you have to answer to? Your own reflection. And your entire life becomes this incredible balancing act, living on the razor's edge between the black wing of nihilism, that urge to destroy, and the white wing of the overman, the drive to create. And through it all, the Crimson Judge is always there. He's the eternal guard at the border, the one standing between what was and what could be. But he's not offering you salvation. He's offering you the abyss, the void, because that is the only true canvas for anyone who wants to become an architect of themselves and of their reality. And that brings us to the final, really piercing question that this whole thing leaves us with. It takes this huge, cosmic, philosophical idea and points it directly at you and me. If reality really is a mirror, then the only question that matters is, what self are you choosing to create?